Hello everyone, and this is my review for Impact Wrestling on March 30th, 2017. And well, what can I say? What can I say about Impact over the last few weeks? And it's, continuing on here. It's an aspect of still getting used to the new talent for the most part. I'm liking some of the new talent coming in, and I'm not liking some of the others at the moment. But let's just go through everything on the show itself. They start off the show with Karen Jarrett again, kind of okay. I guess we'll go along with this. I'm not a big fan of Karen Jarrett, but the way that she's coming off right now is not too bad. She calls out Sienna for bullying and everything in that sense. So, they still haven't given Karen a role. It seems like she's some kind of managerial role, but it's not an actual role. There's no, it's not like she's GM or she's this or she's that. In the terms of a management role, it just seems like she's someone in power at this point. So she calls out Sienna on the aspects of that no one continually said, no one likes her attitude, everything in that sense. That's what she continually cuts on this promo, and they both kind of get face to face, and out of nowhere, someone comes out. And it ends up becoming, no one kind of knows who it is. And he ends up announcing himself as KM, and he's also Sienna's cousin. And he kind of talks about their family, and this guy's really, really intense. I'm liking what he's doing here. Throughout this entire promo, Karen kind of okay, I know who this is, and I know what their family's about and everything in that sense. I kind of like his intensity and how he was coming off promo-wise in this area of everything. This does bring out Braxton Sutter and Allie. They kind of chase off KM and Sienna. And eventually Karen does make a match for Braxton Sutter versus KM for later in the night. Like I said, interesting segment. I kind of liked where they were going with it. With every sense of the word. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Karen Jarrett, but we'll see how everything plays off. Maybe I can change my mind or something in that sense. This segment in general as standalone was not a bad segment to go along with everything. I like the intensity and just the overall feel of this dude that they're calling KM. I'm not exactly sure who he was in the independent scene, but he was definitely coming off very well and in his feel, presence, and promo going along with everything. This brings up to DJZ versus Andrew Everett. Andrew Everett wins this match. This is a good back and forth match. And they were continually talking throughout the entire match about it being about, him potentially beating DJZ. What does it mean for him getting another X Division title shot and everything in this sense? With Andrew Everett going over, this does eventually bring out Trevor Lee and Shane Helms. Helms basically cuts the promo. It's like, oh, you think that one win's going to get you a shot at Trevor Lee again? No. But next week we're going to give you another opportunity, which means I guess he has another match or something in that sense. Like I said, good match here. Good back and forth between both of them. I like the aspect of Andrew Everett going over as well. Trying to build up a new guy going into everything with that. Up next, you have Jeremy Borash in the ring. He brings out Rosemary, who basically cuts a promo on the Knockouts division, and this leads to basically ODB coming out, cutting a promo, challenging Rosemary. Rosemary goes to leave, and the rest of the Knockouts come out. A few more of them cut promos, and eventually it leads into a brawl. Nothing much here to say other than it's a catalyst for them making a big match next week to determine a new number one contender. You got a good promo from Madison Rayne talking about her experience within the company. Brandy Rhodes also saying she was sick and tired of the mind games Rosemary was playing with her, and she wants a shot at Rosemary and everything in that sense. I liked what they were doing here to a certain degree. I mean, it was very basic, very very rudimentary of way getting to where they need to go, but it ended out not being that bad in the end. Up next, EC3 comes out. and he starts cutting a promo, basically saying that he had gotten a bit complacent and he needs to become the real EC3 again. Heel turn EC3 coming at some point in time. But this brings out James Storm, and James Storm basically starts talking about EC3. Doesn't talk him down or anything. It's like, yeah, you carried this company for 3 years on your back, but where were you at the beginning? Where were you here? He was going through the reminiscing of everything in the or everything he had done within Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling, and everything in that sense. And the reason why he comes out is because EC3 starts bringing up all the multiple-time world champions, but doesn't bring up James Storm because he's not a multiple-time world champion in that sense. So this brings out EC3 with this one. And then they really get weird with this. Like, James Storm's playing up to the crowd, but he's still in DCC gear and everything. Both guys are wanting to go after the world title, and apparently now the people are going to decide between the two of them of who's going to go after Bobby Lashley next. Interesting way of going with this promo. And like I said, I feel like this is eventually going to lead to a pseudo double turn now, because DCC was supposed to be a heel group and EC3 is more likely going heel, so I guess James Storm's going face. This was an interesting one. I'm not gonna lie to that. I'm not gonna lie to you on that one. Up next was the Grand Championship match with Moose and Cody. This was also an interesting way they went with the match. They kind of went a different route with this Grand Championship match. It did go all 3 rounds, and it went to decision in the end. But at the end of the first round, one of the judges accidentally gets super kicked by Cody, and gets knocked out. So Bruce Pritchard takes over for one of the judges in this one, and Moose wins the first round. At the end of the second round, where Cody basically dominated the match, Brandy kind of runs down Cody for like how childish both of them were acting and everything throughout the match, and she ends out leaving. And then they kind of have an even third round, and you also get not JB, but pretty much Josh Matthews complaining the entire time how Cody was dominating the entire thing and should have won the match and everything in that sense. Again, I'm not a big fan of what they're doing with Josh Matthews. And the JB thing as well. They even did like a little segment at the beginning of the show. Is like, what are you two doing? Calm it down. And of course they don't, in the sense of everything. And Moose wins by decision in the end. And right now at the moment, because I'm filming this at a different time, I'm trying to remember whether or not anything else happened afterwards, but I don't think anything else happened afterwards to continue on with the storyline. And we'll see where they go with everything here. You could continue on this storyline between the two of them for that title because it came down to decision. You didn't have a definitive winner or anything in that sense, and maybe they try to have a definitive winner, or maybe they lengthen the rounds. That's what I was kind of hoping they would do with everything. Like when they did this first match, like the first championship match, it was 5-minute rounds for the championship matches, and the other ones were 3-minute rounds for everything else. Why don't they go to that? Like have a full division of it. Like the contender matches are 3-minute round matches and a 5-minute round, but same amount of rounds for that to go along with it. Like I said, to make it feel more than what it is, it needs to be a division. It does. I kind of like it to a certain degree, but it's only about the title, and that's really all it is at the moment. Because all the matches in that style are for the championship. Just saying, if they could find a way to change it, that's how I would change it. By the way, fantasy booking. It may not end out ever going that way, but that would be cool if they went that way with it, at least in my mind. Up next, though, was KM versus Braxton Sutter. This was a decent match. You had aspects of everything with Sienna and Allie on the outside of the ring. They kind of get involved as well in the match. KM looks actually really good in the ring to go along with everything as well. I thought he performed well inside of the ring. I did like where they were going with everything. KM does go over in this match, which is why I thought was a decent match along with everything about it. Though winning the match, eventually Allie and Braxton Sutter kind of chase both of them away, which also brings Laurel Van Ness to show up on the rampway, and she is still looking crazier than ever. And I'm not lying about that one. She literally looks like she could be the fourth member of Decay right now. Still in the wedding dress, the makeup all messed up, the pointing to go along with it. She literally looks like she could be the fourth member of Decay at this point in time. But it's also interesting to see what they're going with, because they also aired a promo about something on April 13th happening, and it shows like a picture of like Allie and Braxton and their destruction coming or something in that sense. So they are leading to something ominous for that one to go along with it. Up next, main event of the night, Garza Jr., Laredo Kid versus Decay versus Reno Scum versus LAX to determine the new tag team champions. This was a good match. This was a good Fatal 4-Way match. I thought it was rather well done. LAX going over in the end, I thought was a good way of going too. This is the aspect that I'm still saying. Is like I'm still getting used to the newer talent. I am not the biggest fan of Reno Scum. I'm not gonna lie on that one. They seem like they come off as a babyface-esque team, like punkers and everything in that sense. I'm just not a fan of their promos. I think their in-ring work is good. It's just their promo work just doesn't do it for me. In that sense, Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid, they're good in the ring, but you don't really get much of them outside of that. You get, I believe, with I think it's with Laredo Kid. He's not the one in the mask. I think that's Garza Jr. But Laredo Kid does the little tear off the pants spot for that one. But all in all, this was a good match. I liked each of these teams inside of the ring. I'm not a big fan of certain other ones. Based off of their microphone skills. I'm kind of liking the whole aspect of the new LAX with everything. Like Homicide's kind of there. Maybe he's going to go after singles titles, and you have this new team going after the tag team titles, and of course Konnan. And I'm still getting used to each of the names. I was trying to remember them, and I completely forget them off the top of my head again. That is because I'm horrible with names. And I will remember them somewhere down the road, hopefully within the next week of everything. But overall, good match. I like the aspect of LAX going over in this match, and we'll see where they go along with everything with the tag team division on that side. So with that being said, guys, overall I thought this was a rather good show. It was good to a certain degree, but had some interesting moments, especially this whole thing with James Storm and EC3 on that side of everything. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Karen Jarrett. That opening segment with them wasn't a bad one, though, and I'm not a big fan of the whole aspect of the commentators right now. Maybe it's because we've seen it done before, and I don't think they're playing it off that well, because most of the time it's just kind of like both of these guys just yelling at each other the entire time, and sometimes taking away from the matches to go along with it. But otherwise, overall, a rather good show. So with that being said, guys, that is my review for Impact Wrestling this week. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.